What's up, everybody? We are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Uhuru. And I have the brother Adewale on with us today. And also, brother Julius should be hopping on shortly with Afemai TV. Tonight's topic is, and I did not know this. I think this is wild. I think it's crazy. Because in America, if we live outside of America, we could do what is called a write-in vote, like a write-in ballot. But from my understanding, Nigerians, if you live outside of Nigeria, you can't vote or write in a ballot. That's wild. So basically, you guys have, that's crazy. So for the most part, when you guys leave the country, you have really no say in regards to politics, even though I have a way around that, which we'll get into shortly. You can't vote, which I think is crazy.
Yeah, I agree. So do you want me to jump in?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I feel like the inability of Nigerians living abroad to vote has to do with the incompetence of the government. Like, in my opinion, everything boils back to the government not doing the right thing that they're supposed to do. Because as a constitutional right, every Nigerian is supposed to be able to vote. So I did a little bit of a research just before coming online, and I found some articles from 2017, 2018, and 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the articles has to do with the former chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Nigerians in Diaspora. So the lady's name is Abike Dabiri. I don't know if you've heard about her. She's quite popular.
What's her name?
So Abike Dabiri.
Is that the lady that ran for?
No, she didn't run for president. But she tried to run for a political position though, but I don't think she was successful with it. So from that article that I read, she basically introduced a bill for the recognition of the voting rights of Nigerians living abroad. And as hard as she tried, the bill couldn't even pass through the first reading, as the members of House of Representatives rejected it on the ground that the project was too expensive and unripe for Nigeria. So if we put this into context, we claim we're the giant of Africa, right? Like Nigeria claims to be the giant of Africa, the most successful country, the most progressive country. But as at 2006, according to another article that I read online on irishtimes.ie, it says there are 116 countries around the world that have this external voting system already in place. Out of the 116 countries, 21 countries are African countries. So if Nigeria is claiming to be the giant of Africa and 21 other countries already bid us to external voting system for the citizens, then I feel like that's a shame to our government. And we also need to recognize that the ability to vote isn't a privilege, it's a constitutional right. So it's the responsibility of the government to make sure that that happens, that comes in place. But unfortunately, we're still where we are today, and yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
Have you been keeping up with the election at all? They're saying Buhari is he might take it.
Might win.
Yeah,
I'm not even surprised, man. Like I said the other time, we've been lowballed again. We only have two candidates to select from, and the both of them, in my personal opinion, and I believe in the opinions of millions of Nigerians, they are incompetent. They are not supposed to be in those positions. I don't know how that happened. It's pretty much similar to the situation we had in America, where Americans were left to select between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Lots of people don't want to choose from those two people, but we don't have a choice. And if Buhari comes into power again, it is what it is. I hope I hope he can do something better this time around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here in the chat room. Hopefully, brother, the other brother will hop on here shortly. Hopefully. So so what are your thoughts on Buhari? Like, I hear mixed reactions from Buhari. On Buhari.
Man,
a lot of people say he's not that bad, but then of course you had the whole thing where he was in Europe getting treatment, you know.
Yeah. Like, to me, that's the deal breaker for me. Because if you want to be the president, I feel like you should be ready to serve the people. You're not supposed to be a lead, like you're supposed to be a leader, but you're not supposed to be a commander, like a dictator, because we're in a democratic system. We're not in a military system. So when Buhari came in and he tricked us into believing that, oh, he's going to be the positive change that we hadn't experienced, especially during the Goodluck Jonathan era, everybody voted for Buhari because they wanted a change, not because they had read through his resume and his portfolio and had determined that this guy was the perfect guy to move us forward. They only voted Buhari because he represented a change. But in my own opinion, it was a big mistake, because Buhari, that was the second time he was ruling Nigeria, right? The first time he ruled Nigeria was in the 80s. And while he was the leader in the 80s, he made a lot of errors. Like, he did a lot of terrible things that I can't even mention what he did right now, because to be honest, I can't remember.
Okay. I was about to say, go ahead and mention it.
Oh, okay. Like the guy was he was the military general, and he tried to stage a coup, or I think he was successful in staging a coup, something along that line. So there is a coup attached to Buhari's name in the history of Nigeria. And somehow this guy comes back as a democratic guy and still wins the position. While people were trying to vote for Buhari in 2015, a lot of people were against it. They were like, oh no, we shouldn't vote for this guy. There were also rumors that Buhari, like, don't take my word, because lots of Nigerians are going to be offended for this, right? But there were rumors that Buhari was trying to Islamize the entire country.
I can believe
the guy was like,
I can believe,
because it was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like a ardent Islamic guy, right? But then there is really, I personally can't see no evidence. And I'm one of those few Nigerians that I honestly do not really follow politics, but the little that I follow, I understand it to an extent. So for sure, we've not had any credible leader since the 80s, because right after Buhari came Abacha, Babangida, Abacha, Obasanjo, Goodluck Jonathan, Buhari, and Buhari, the current guy, right? And none of those guys has actually moved Nigeria forward. And I can tell you this for a fact, because most of the infrastructural development that Nigeria is currently having are from way back. They are stuff that were built in the 70s, in the 60s, and in the 70s. All the other stuff that were built after the 70s were not properly built. Even after they were built, they were not thoroughly maintained. So there is always that deterioration problem that we have in the country. So I mean, to me, we've not had any competent leader, right? And it's such a shame. I was born in 1986, and from the time I was born until now, I haven't seen any improvements, to the extent that right now there is a mass immigration of youth from Nigeria. But people are trying to leave Nigeria to whatever country is possible. A lot of people are going to disagree with me on all these things I'm saying, but it's just the facts, and it's my opinion as from my little demography in Nigeria. That's what I experience, and that's what it is.
Brother Julius is on. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, and you?
Good. Sorry about the
What's up, brother Adewale?
Yeah, we hear you fine.
How you doing, brother?
All right, man. I'm alive, you know.
Awesome.
We're glad you're alive, brother. But are you striving? are you striving?
You know, thanks for having me.
No problem. So again, we talked about this yesterday, me and you. I was shocked to know that the diaspora, you guys can't sit in the vote.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I kind of briefed you a little bit. Yeah, we can vote.
Need to expand on that. I was shocked by it.
Yeah, we can yet. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, Nigeria have everything to make it happen if they want it to happen. But unfortunately, they're not looking forward for that. From what I heard, even the Senegal, the next country close to Nigeria, they have that system in place where all the Senegalese that live in diaspora have access to votes and cast their vote. So why not Nigeria, the so-called the big nation, the almighty African powerhouse? You know, we just carry that name. When, like my brother Adewale was saying yesterday, we as Nigeria, we have that cockiness in us. When you see other African brother, you think you're number one because of our size. But the truth is that Nigeria is not even really working. Look at little Ethiopia. Look at Kenya. See how they're developing. Their GDP is growing so fast, rapidly. Nigeria only just ticked like there. It's not going nowhere. And the only reason Nigeria is still topping Africa today on GDP is because of our population.
Right.
I think that is the advantage we have over other African countries. You know, I was reading some comment after we got off from line yesterday. Some guys were not pleased with us. Some were like, we sell out. Some were like, oh, tell that Nigerian guy to go to Nigeria. It's been 5 years. It's too long. I'm current. Even though I haven't been to Nigeria for 5 years, I'm pretty current with the situation in Nigeria, especially my state, Edo State. Everything that I've said yesterday about light and about the boys in fraternity, cultism and killing themselves, it's happening. Even today, I saw videos where people were crying, and I'm like, what is this country turning to, for God's sake? But, you know, like I said, man, it is what it is for sure.
Yeah.
Now, what are your thoughts on the, they're saying that this election, I find it's hard to believe, but they're saying this election has been the bloodiest election with all the violence at the polls. All right, what are your thoughts on that?
Is Adewale going to take that, or I should take it?
Oh, it doesn't matter. Anybody, go ahead.
You go ahead, brother Julius.
Okay, I mean, I'm not there. I wasn't there. I don't think there's ever been different of every election. Even the 2015 that the incumbent actually concealed a defeat, and he announced okay and called the so-called Buhari and congratulated him. There was still a little bit of pocket of crimes, people burning people's houses and stuff. So there's never been any election in Nigeria where we don't have casualty or dead bodies. But again, because of the tendency of this 2019 election, PDP had been there for 16 years. APC barely came in 4 years ago. So unfortunately, Nigeria saw that PDP didn't do good for 16 years of their being in power. So they wanted a change. And APC came with a slogan called change. So we believe in them. So 4 years really was not enough to build up what 16 years of previous government has destroyed. And that is actually what they preach or what they campaign on. That if you build a house, it takes you months or years to build a house, but it only takes 1 day or 2 days to knock down a house. So it's taking this APC 4 years to kind of reorganize Nigeria and have it according to what they have right now. The new slogan they have right now is next level. So they want to take Nigeria to the next level. And again, for one of that campaign that I heard was, it's like you traveling in a plane, flying, you know how the plane get to the turbulence and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So they say Nigeria is in the turbulence right now, but it's going to settle. So hopefully it's going to settle. But so far, like I said, there's never been any peaceful election in Nigeria ever without people dying or without bloodshed. I don't think that is correct.
Yeah, you know, also, when it comes to the election situation going on, it's actually been getting better from 1999, because that was the last time Nigeria became a republic again and a democratic situation, right? Mm-hmm. So there's been an election in 2009, in 2013, in 2015, and in 2019. And it's been getting better. But this morning, I was looking through the news on Twitter and social media, and I realized that a lot of people actually died. Like, I seen a video where I seen
40 people.
Oh, 40 people?
In the country, yeah.
I mean, if it's 40 people, people, that's a huge improvement, because I'll tell you what. One time when I was serving as a youth corper in Nigeria, because there is this mandatory thing that we go through in the country whereby once you graduate from a tertiary institution, you have to serve in the paramilitary organization called the The acronym is the NYSC. The NYSC. It's National Youth Copper Scheme, or National Youth Scheme Copper, something like that.
Service Corp, yeah, kind of.
Service Corp, yeah. So while I was serving, my batch in 2011, yeah, the election was in 2011. I was one of the INEC staffs, actually. I worked as, I was pretty much handing out the voting paper for people to put their thumbprints on. And during that election, lots of people died. Coppers, youth coppers that were working for INEC in Bauchi State, 12 coppers died. They were in their lodge, they were in the copper lodge, and a bunch of radicals came, burnt down the lodge with those 12 youth coppers in there. And Bauchi State is a state in the northeast Nigeria. And all the youth coppers that were killed are from other parts of Nigeria. So if you put that into perspective, people are angry constantly, especially people like me. Like me, I'm constantly angry. I'm constantly unhappy about what's going on. And it kind of affected me directly because I was an INEC ad hoc staff in Abuja, but coppers that were also INEC ad hoc staffs in Bauchi State, they were getting killed, same set as me. So it could have happened to me too, right? But that wasn't the only death count, the death toll that happened during that election. In 2011, it was massive. So many people died. I can't remember what the exact amount is right now, but a lot of people died during that election. And then if we only had 40 people that were reportedly killed in this 2019 election, that is a huge improvement. That is a massive improvement. But I want to believe there are definitely more than 40 people that died.
You want to add to this, Julius? I mean, yeah. I mean, I strongly agree with him. Like I said, even from the news that I got and some that I got on my WhatsApp through messages from families back home, it's even more than 8, just from within my locality there back home. So when you talk about Nigeria as a whole, I think it's more than that number they're giving out. So I think it's more than that.
For that. Shout out to the super chat. Shout out to T Kelly. Get the like. Yes, guys, get the likes up in the video. When you enter the chat room or start watching the video, hit that like button. And shout out to Oshay Duke Jackson. Oshay says, and you guys give me your thoughts on this. They shouldn't be allowed to vote in the diaspora. They should take their asses back if they want to vote. What are your thoughts on that? I think you guys should be allowed to vote, but Oshay doesn't think so. What are your?
Can I give you my quick thoughts?
No, please.
So first of all,
good.
Oshay, if Oshay is a Nigerian person,
no, he's from the same city as me, Sacramento, California.
He's from Sacramento. So I have a question for Oshay. Does he realize that Americans are allowed to vote regardless what country they're living in the world? So in my opinion, his comment comes from a position of trolling. That's how I say it, because why would you not expect what is good for Nigerians? If you really want the progression of Nigerians and African people and Africans in diaspora as a whole, why wouldn't you want Nigerians living in diaspora to be able to vote? So that pretty much to me is like a trolling comment. Like, why do you want us to go back to Nigeria to vote? Like I said, as at 2006, there were 21 countries in Africa that already had this system in place, whereby if you're living in a foreign country, you can vote. In North America, as of 2006, there were 13 countries, including US and Canada. So I don't understand why you would believe that we have to go back to Nigeria to vote. And in the first place, it's not like we really want to leave Nigeria to run to a foreign country. A lot of us pretty much run to foreign countries because we want better lives. It's really that simple. So, I mean, it's a constitutional right. It's not a privilege. And the fact that it's a constitutional right, it's the responsibility of the government to enforce that. So I don't understand why you expect us to run back to Nigeria to vote. Doesn't make any sense. Americans living in Nigeria, Nigerian Americans, during the last elections, they went to the American embassy in Abuja and they rightfully voted. So, I mean, Oshay can give a reply to that if he has something tangible to say.
All right. So Oshay responds back. We aren't talking about 21 countries. We are talking about Nigeria. You need to go back to vote because that is Nigerian law.
I mean, did you say Oshay is from California? Where is he from?
Hometown. Oshay's from the ghetto.
Okay, I mean, he sounds like someone who has a little bit of issue. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not trying to disrespect him. He has his right for his opinion. But again, just like my brother Adewale have said, it is our right. Just like Americans in every other countries, when during the American election time, they have the privilege. I mean, they have the right to vote. So why would you think the same thing shouldn't reflect on Nigerians living in diaspora? And again, for America being the leader of the so-called democratic movement in the world. So if they are doing it, they give that privilege or opportunity to their citizen. So it should also apply to every other countries that are citizens that live in diaspora. And moreover, we are living here. We find ourselves living here, not because we wanted to, but we ended up here because we have a better life here. We're secure. You know what I mean? So we all came here for different venture reasons and stuff like that. Even up to tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, you will hear about Africans, other African countries trying to get to Europe, North Americans or wherever in the world, just for a better life. For us to come up with that idea that, for him to say that we should have gone back home, we would have. Again, some of us could not even afford that risk of, that during that election time, because we know that things are not really well in Nigeria during that election period. And again, for us to raise almost $2,000, it's worth it though, if you really want to, just to go home for like 3-4 days because of election. Come on. I think Oshay should be more realistic. You know what I mean?
Okay. I just stumbled upon an article from thecable.ng. It was posted May 2018. So on this article, it says, Honorable Abike Dabiri, former House of Representative member, she tried to pass a bill to the House of Representatives, and it was rejected on the ground that the project was too expensive and essentially unripe for Nigeria. In rejecting the bill, the House failed to take cognizance of the fact that the issue of voting rights is not a privilege, but a right that must be protected and guaranteed by law. Ordinary citizens should be able to cast a simple ballot from wherever they live. So if you think about this, isn't this as a result of the incompetence of the Nigerian government? Why we're not able to vote, even though we are living in foreign countries? That's one thing. Secondly, the Nigerian government, apart from their incompetency that is affecting our inability to vote, they are incompetent in almost every sphere. We have limited infrastructure. We have limited economy. Other African countries are doing way better than us. Look at Senegal, for example, in West Africa. Senegal is much more peaceful, much more progressive, and it's a better country to live in. Economy-wise, they might not have as much money as Nigeria, but the average citizens are not trying to escape the country as much as Nigerians are. So put all of this into consideration. You realize that it's pretty much the fault of the government, even though the people end up being the government, and we take some of the blame as well as citizens, but still, the government has a huge role playing into the fact that we're not able to progress. And that is in collaboration with a lot of Western leaders, countries like the United Kingdom, United States, and so many other Western countries. The Nigerian government pretty much makes messed up deals with those countries that put us in the situations that we find ourselves today. So what can I do as a Nigerian? One person out of 200 million people to make that better.
Okay, let me ask you this, and this might actually be a whole separate show topic. You look at, I know in Nigeria they have Biafra, right?
Yeah.
You look at Rwanda and the genocide they had, and they were able to, for the most part, recover and move on.
Yeah.
Why hasn't Nigeria been able to do the same?
Man, do you want to go first?
Oh, sure. I mean,
yeah, you go first. Go first, bro.
Go ahead.
I mean, when you look at Rwanda, like during the genocide, they had a lot of issues and, a lot of souls were gone. But after the genocide, the same man that was one of the rebel leader become the president, and that is the Paul Kagame,
Right.
whatever.
Kagame, yeah.
Yeah. So that man learned from the history. He learned the lessons.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he turned Rwanda to what it is today. Rwanda has nothing to depend on. They have no oil. They have nothing. Rwanda is being supported by the aid they're getting for international communities and stuff like that. But this man knows.
Really think so that they're being aided by outside?
Yes, I think so. Because I mean, if you look at it, how they getting funding, how they're getting those money to build all those infrastructures and everything. You need to go to Rwanda. Rwanda is the cleanest city in Africa. I actually have a YouTuber who is there right now, a friend from Ghana, showing me video from Rwanda. I'm like, this is London. It's like, no, this is Rwanda. Yeah, I'm like, wow, I wish Nigeria could be like this. But again, when you look at the size of Nigeria, the population of Nigeria is very large, but in the landmark, we are little, really. You know, so the population of Nigeria is too big. But having said that, though, I'm not here to preach about maybe separation, though. But I think there should be a better way. Maybe like I said before, I mean, I think Nigeria should be restructured because everything that we have in place right now in Nigeria is still the stuff that the British gave us back in the 1960s when Nigeria got her independence. There's nothing that has been amended. Nothing has changed except the 1999 constitution, which the military did. The Babangidas them, their so-called Buhari them. That is what we're still living on today in Nigeria. So Nigeria needs to be restructured, maybe with the new ideas, and then bring in young people from the diaspora and well-talented people. Maybe we could make Nigeria to be a better place compared to what it is for now.
You know what I think with regards to Rwanda experiencing some progression as opposed to Nigeria? What I feel like is happening is sometimes you have to go through an extreme negative situation in order for you to progress. Like if you think about it, a lot of European countries like Germany, United Kingdom, they were bombed and blasted to ashes during the Second World War. Literally tens of millions of people died. Their infrastructures were destroyed. But check it out today, 70 years later, these countries are still top countries in the world. How did that happen? Check out Rwanda. In 1994, they had the worst, genocide in African history. 800,000 people died in 30 days. They were butchered with machetes, right? Right now, the current situation in Rwanda, the president, he's from the minority tribe that was massacred during the genocide. And they actually ruled the country with an iron fist, if you think about it. Because I have a cousin that went to Rwanda. He did some business. In Rwanda, as a foreigner, for example, if a Nigerian goes to Rwanda and you set up a business, you can't really take your money out of Rwanda. There are certain laws put in place that prevent you from taking certain resources out of the country. So things like that kind of worked for them, you know, and I salute them for making it work for them, because at the end of the day, what people are really looking for is to have decent lifestyles, to have progressive opportunities, regardless what part of the world they are at. So in Rwanda, being the cleanest country in Africa, being one of the most stable economies, I'm guessing, in sub-Saharan Africa, like it's working for them. And Nigeria, on the other hand, Nigeria currently has a perennial violent state. Nigeria is in a perennial violent state, like not the entire country, but at least 10% of Nigeria is constantly going through one sort of violence or the other. Check out the Northeast. Check out the central region, the Benue State. Benue State, the northeast of Nigeria, constantly being terrorized by Fulani herdsmen, Boko Haram, and the other parts of Nigeria that don't have those menaces. We have problems from the citizens as a result of unemployment, as a result of trying to make money the fast way. There are so many violent crime offenders that never get caught, that never go to jail. And whenever these people get rich, we worship them. We don't care how they got their money. If in Nigeria, if you make a lot of money, nobody cares. If you made billions of naira, billions of dollars from a kidnapping enterprise. So you've kidnapped tons of people. People know that this is what you've done. As long as you don't get caught, you don't get indicted, you're going to be worshipped. You're going to live a perfect life. So we have fundamental changes that we need to make happen. We need to change our mindset, and until we can stop this constant violence that we have going on across the country, then I don't know how else we can escape this constant regression that we're experiencing.
I got the brother Oshay Duke Jackson on with us. Oshay, anything you want to add, brother? Go ahead.
I want to add something. Shout out to everybody on the panel. I made some super chats, and I thought that the guy said I was trolling. So I'm the troll that you said that was trolling. I want to make some comments on just some notes I've been taking. I've been hearing Nigerians in a violent state. The corruption is high. So if that's the case, people who have been voting there in Nigeria for years, nothing has changed. Which is the reason why I believe, I don't know these two guys, do they live outside of the United States? I mean, outside of Nigeria? Both of them?
Canada.
Yeah.
Canada. Okay. So you're in Canada because the voting system doesn't work in the first place. Okay. So having the right to vote in Nigeria when voting doesn't work, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So also the Rwanda thing. Paul Kagame has the country clean and all this stuff. I don't know if either one of you guys are willing to do what Kagame did, which is live in Uganda and for like 15 years and then do a military coup and take the country. I don't think either one of you guys are willing to do that. If you want to see Nigeria change, that's what it's going to take. If you want, you're not going to get a Paul Kagame situation out of an elections. You get a Paul Kagame situation, you get a Gaddafi situation out of a military coup. So the thing about Nigerian citizens who go to the West, the United States, Canada, what they want to do is have their cakes and eat it too. They're talking about, oh, what about the other countries? Well, we're not talking about the other countries, because when I go to Nigeria, Uganda, or Tanzania, I can't say, well, in my country, they do things this way. No, if you're doing things the way that your country says, and if the law is you cannot be in the diaspora and vote, that's the law. If you don't want to do that, then what you should do is get some people together, you start a military coup, and you take the country and do what Paul Kagame is doing. A lot of African immigrants coming to the West, Canada, United States, they go to Canada and they get rights. Then they want to have the same rights, and they want to have a double advantage. I don't even think this is about necessarily doing well in Nigeria. It is the personal thing. The personal thing is I want to have rights in Canada or USA or London, wherever I go, and then have dual citizenship and be able to do what I want to do in Nigeria when I get back. And then for people like us who live in the West, African Americans or Afro-Canadians, you have to compete with people like this. And then when you go to Nigeria or another place, you'll never get citizenship. You never get anything. So again, it's unfair to sit here and cry about, oh man, we don't get this and get that, when the system's already rigged, it doesn't work anyway, and you're not willing to put in the work. If you want change, you put in the work. I just don't feel that these guys are really serious about, they're trolling themselves. They're not going to put the work in to get Nigeria where it needs to be. And if you want to do the work, you want to see it clean, you want to do that, you got to be willing to take Nigeria in a military coup. You're not going to be able to get it in democracy. They know it. Everybody knows it in the chat. That's all I got to say.
Okay. Can I go first?
Yes, please go first.
Yeah, I truly respect this, bro, what he just said. Actually, yeah, if really we want to change Nigeria, we need someone like Kagame, Paul, in Nigeria. I mean, look at our neighboring country, Ghana. Back in the early 70s and 80s, we have the president there who's called Jerry Lawrence. We all hear what Jerry Lawrence did in Ghana. Ghana today, the economic is boosting. They're celebrating. 2 days ago or 3 days ago, I've just heard that the Ghana immigration deported about 100 Nigerian youth.
Yeah.
Why? Because Nigerians are going everywhere. We're running out of Nigeria because the system is not working. Nigeria have had several military coups plotted by the same people who now retired from the military and come back to be a civilian and is also still ruling us. So we have the same people. Nigeria has had several military coups, but again, it's not done with the influence of the youth people, the idea of the youth people. It's same old leaders them. So maybe if the youth really want to see a change, because this same leaders, they're not going to give us that change just like easily. So maybe the youth like us, like me, maybe we could say, okay, we want to do something different. And that is why I strongly support Omoyore, Sowore, because now we're in a democratic system in Nigeria. No more military rule. Omoyole has lived in the United States for 20 years. So he came back with the idea of take it back, meaning we should take our country back from the hands of the same cabals, the old rulers them. But it seems to be in the 21st century, Nigeria are still pretty much in love with our old leaders. Because the mindset of, okay, maybe if I was still in Nigeria, I would have been thinking as an average Nigerian who live in Nigeria. But thank goodness that me being in the Western country for about 18 years, I've seen the better things. I have the freedom of right, freedom of speech. I can talk. I can express feeling. So our people back in Nigeria, the mindset of them is still way back. They still believe in that ideology of we have to respect the old leaders. We have to give the leaders, the old people, an opportunity to be our government. So that is what they've been preaching. But again, we need Nigeria to change. How is it going to change? We're in a live show here. We got to be careful what we say. I'm not going to say maybe military coup attempt, but it could be changed in a better way.
Let me ask you this. Nigeria, I guess, sent $23 billion in remittance. The Nigerian Diaspora sent $23 billion in remittance back to Nigeria. Do you think if it was more organized, that money, because that's glorified aid, that's Western Union money, that's glorified aid. Only people that are winning is Western Union.
Wait, that was only from 2 countries, the US and the UK. That's only 2 countries.
Are you serious?
No.
Only 2.
No, you're wrong, brother.
Everywhere.
More than
you're wrong, brother. Brother Oshay, first of all, thank you for coming into the show. Thank goodness you showed your face. I apologize for calling you a troll.
It's fine.
To be honest, your comment kind of came from that position. That's how I felt it. But then again, you said quite a few things that are actually not correct.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be a long process for me to start explaining and educating and just telling you exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Nigeria. I spent 26 years in Nigeria. I moved here in 2012. I'll tell you what. There have been several military coups in Nigeria that have yielded nothing. Nigeria has been through a civil war where over 1 million people died and it yielded nothing. They all died for nothing, pretty much. Nigeria is constantly going through different violent situations in different parts of the country. It has yielded nothing. As a matter of fact, there is pure evidence, which is similar to many other African countries, that the violence going on is sponsored by local politicians and foreign countries in conjunction with foreign countries. So at the end of the day, a lot of our efforts to make things better get futile because, number one, you're dealing with crazy people. You're dealing with politicians that would literally shoot you on sight. Now, do you want to die for a country that you wouldn't benefit anything from? Yes or no? If you die as a Nigerian military man fighting against Boko Haram, there is a good chance that your family isn't going to get compensated for a long time. And even if they get compensated, it's probably not going to be anything. I have witnessed Nigerian military men that literally camped in front of the military office that was supposed to disburse their pensions. They camped in front of the office for months. These ex-military men that fought in the 70s, right now they are in their 80s, their 90s, they are octogenarians. They camped in front of this military pensions office to get their pensions. Guess what? The pension was stolen by younger Nigerian current presidents. Politicians. So you're really, really fighting against a machine here. The Nigerian politicians, as an entity, it's a machine that it takes more than military coups. It takes more than so many things to overthrow them. I'll tell you what, though. Nigeria is gradually experiencing progress, but it's coming at a very, very slow pace. Compared to many other countries like Rwanda that we're talking about, they went through the trenches. They were thrown into the deep end. They had a massive genocide that happened. 800,000 people died. From that point onward, they started progressing. All the Rwandans that I've met in Canada, whenever I ask them questions like, oh, what tribe are you? Are you Hutu or Tutsi? They shut me up. They don't believe in tribe anymore. There is nothing like tribe. And we in Nigeria, we still carry tribe on our heads like, oh, I'm Yoruba, I'm better than you Igbos. Oh, you're Igbo, you're better than we Yorubas. We have that mentality. But the progressive countries like Rwanda, they don't talk about that stuff anymore. Nothing like tribalism. So I'll tell you what, for Nigeria to really progress, it's going to require more than a military coup. What we're currently going through is a slow form of progression. Because like I said, from 1999 up until now, 2019, 20 years, we've gradually been progressing. Now we've had 4 uninterrupted democratic election processes. People die during each election, but the numbers are reducing. Whenever we go vote, the numbers are reducing. The same time we had an election, Senegal had an election. We did not hear of one single death in Senegal. But in Nigeria, that is a normal news. So, I mean, you might think you have a perspective of how things can work. Trust me, we've tried these things. I personally, in 2010, I'll tell you what happened. There was, when Goodluck Jonathan was the president, I was in Nigeria. I was in Abuja. I had just graduated from university. And then they all of a sudden hiked the price of fuel from 97 naira to 163 naira. Yeah. When that happened, the country shut down for the first time since I was born. Nigeria totally shut down. Nigeria shut down to the extent that flights weren't taken off from Lagos airport, from Abuja airport. Everything was grounded. Nobody was going to their offices. The banks were closed. The government shut down. When that happened, there were millions of Nigerians protesting on the streets. It was kind of simulating what was going on in the Arab world, where Tunisia, Morocco, all those other countries in Northern Africa and the Middle East, they erupted. Millions of people jumped on the street, protested, kicked out their government. We were trying to do the same thing, but guess what? That didn't yield anything. I was one of those people standing in front of AK-47 wielding policemen, policemen were literally shooting guns. People were getting killed in my presence. I seen people die. Guess what? They've all died for nothing. I apologize, like RIP to the dead, but those people have died. Guess what? The country is still constantly regressing. So if you think it's easy to just go to Nigeria, start up a military coup, you're probably just going to end up dying and nothing is going to happen. Because Nigeria is a totally unique society. That's one of the problems that we have. Nigeria is one of the most diverse countries in the world. We literally have 500 ethnic groups in Nigeria. 500. You're not going to find that anywhere else. Maybe in the Philippines and all those islands in that area, but you're not going to find that situation replicated anywhere else in the world, where you have 500 ethnic groups clumped together in the same country. That is unique. And that's why it's really, really hard for Nigeria to progress. So it's not as easy as just jumping into a military coup. Like that has happened. Our current president, he was involved in a military coup. Let me tell you how bad that is. It's almost like a requirement for you to get into a political position is you have to have a criminal record. The guy running against the current president that was involved in a military coup, there are so many evidences that point out that this guy has been involved in crimes, but nobody goes to jail in Nigeria. If you're a politician, if you're an extremely rich person, the chances of you going to jail are minimal. So how do you deal with that situation? Like I said, you're fighting against a strong machine. We have so many problems. 90% of our problems are the Nigerian leaders. 10% are the Western countries. I don't believe in all that. Western countries are suppressing us, so we're not able to progress. I don't believe in that. No. Our problems are us. We Nigerians are the problems of Nigeria.
Okay,
the leaders of Nigeria. Okay.
I just want to say one thing. Okay. The remittance thing, I read articles that go back and forth. I'll give you that. It could be a wrong number. Let's say if it's 22 billion, it doesn't matter. It could be 100 billion. We know that very few people are feeling the money of that remittance. So it's not being, it's very few people feel that money. What I want to say is this, and I'm coming from the perspective, I don't know Nigeria. You might be right about all of that. I think you're telling the truth. But I am an African-American. And I know that you're in Canada, which is close to the United States. What happens is for the people that are from my community, when blacks, such as yourself, come into the United States, you're immediately able to benefit off of the things that African Americans or Afro Canadians have fought for, without having to put any boot on the ground like you're doing in Nigeria. When you come to America, you automatically benefit from whatever those people are getting in America, or African Americans. So you immediately can get, once you get citizenship, you can get everything. London phones, affirmative action. But so from our people, the way that we look at it is, from this perspective, things are hard, but immediately you're the group of people that we got to compete against. And what happens for us, then we've been through a lot of stuff, yeah. And so now you're able to get things that we have fought for in the Western world. And then at the same time, you can then get educated, you get everything you get, and then you can also, you have that Nigerian citizenship. Now, we may debate and say, things are this or that, but it becomes unfair to, number one, people that are Black in the West. It's unfair to them because you have privilege now in both countries. And then in two, you did leave. So the law in Nigeria says if you're not in the diaspora, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. Well, then why is that so? Well, you do have a better life. You don't believe in the system as it is. You've had Obasanjo and Buhari, two people who took the country before and became president again. So when you're facing a situation like this, is it fair to the people in Nigeria who couldn't leave that you're able to vote? Is it fair that you're able to get a better life and they cannot? Is that fair to them? I'll tell you what, it's not fair. It's not fair to the people of Nigeria who were living there and they have to be there every day and they couldn't leave. But yet you're in the West living a better life, being able to afford all the amenities that these people can't get, and you're still able to sway the country abroad. It's not fair to the people that are there. And furthermore, it's not fair to the other Blacks that you're coming into that have been in that country that you now take opportunities from. So on either side, it's not fair. The only person that benefits is you. And you have to look at it from that standpoint. I know that you feel personally, okay, yeah, it's not good, it's not this, not that. But you're also not looking at it's not fair to other people who are there, still there. And it's not fair to the other people that you're going to be able to take opportunities from in this new country. That's what I want to say.
Brother. Okay. You going to go first, Adewale, or I should go first? Or
You go first. You go first, bro.
Okay. I mean, like he just earlier said, it was an opportunity that we had, that we have to leave Nigeria for a better life elsewhere. And we are privileged to be in Canada here today. So also, you got to understand, it's a better system, a better country, a better government that works. If Nigeria had gotten this thing in place, believe me, bro, Nigeria is a beautiful country, a beautiful atmosphere with a nice weather. Believe me, we're not going to want to come here to stay in minus 40 degrees in Canada that we are living here. But haven't been here, since the government give everybody equal right, equal opportunity of everything, irrespective of color, race, gender, and you find yourself here, you come here legally, you're being documented, you also have the same privilege that other people have that are born here. I got 3 kids, my kids are born Canadian. The same privilege my kid got, I have it. Because I live in Canada. It's part of the system. We are citizens of the universe, of the world, irrespective of you're an American, you're Nigerian, you're there. To me, so wherever you find yourself as a human being in any country, whatever the government is giving to the people, you are entitled for it. Okay? For us having a dual citizenship, because Nigeria is where we were born, we have a Nigerian passport. And then we will not come to America or Canada, where we are, that gives us another opportunity to also have that citizenship, which we have. Then we have the equal right, privilege to have a dual citizenship. And for those of you brothers that are in the United States, you guys were there. It was like, I'm going to say it's an unfortunate situation that brought you guys to the United States, but at the same time, it's a good thing. So you're not born in Nigeria or elsewhere, you're born in America. And if you look at your passport, America's clearly stated in your passport, African American. So that is a citizenship there for you that you already have, because you clearly stated in your passport as African American. I have a lot of Americans, brothers or sisters that are born in America that are moving back to Africa, that they actually want to see the ancestry trace. Some are living in Ghana, some are living in Egypt, in South Africa. So that is the citizenship you already have there. And Ghana is the first African country that passed a law that if our brothers are born in the United States, like your brothers, you go to Ghana. If you live there in the land for 10 years, you will be given a citizenship and you'll have entitlement to buy a land and build a house. We have a lot of African American brothers who are relocated back to Ghana. They own a house. Some of them are in the process of getting a Ghana citizenship because they've been there for close to almost 10 years. So again, wherever you find yourself, it's your home. To me, I was born in Nigeria, but I'm a Canadian. So every opportunity that every Canadian have, I think we should have it too, because it's a privilege. So that is my contribution.
Brother Oshay. So let me just say this, bro. Like, I absolutely understand your point of view. I'll tell you what, bro. Me growing up in Nigeria, over 50% of my life was adoring African Americans. I was watching all African American movies. I was eating African American food. I'm sorry, music, movies, music, entertainment, imitating African Americans. We all want to be African Americans in Nigeria. I'm telling that as a fact right now. You know why? Because we see African Americans here and we see ourselves here. This is a fact. Now, if me and you go to a country like Malaysia, I'm going to be discriminated against over you. You know why? Because you have an American accent. That's why. If I go to Malaysia with a Nigerian passport and you go to Malaysia with an American passport, they're going to treat me like shit and they're going to treat you good. They are probably going to treat the both of us like shit to an extent because they're black. You get me? But you're still going to get that privilege of being an American. You have an American accent. You have an American citizenship. The wisest thing that anybody can do as a black American, I'll tell you what, bro. Go and get a citizenship in Africa. Go and get an African citizenship. Because once you do that, everything you stated, it becomes real life. Now you have two platforms. You have the American platform and you have the Nigerian platform. For example, if you go get a Nigerian citizenship and you have an American citizenship, you have two places to play with. I tell you the truth, bro. And you have two opportunities. These are things that people don't have. I agree with you. Once we come to this part of the world, we are almost equated. Don't even think we're on the same level, bro. I don't really know how it is in America. I've visited America a couple of times. I've interacted with my American cousins, friends that live in America. But I still believe that Black Americans still have that upper hand in America than Nigerian immigrants. As long as you have that Nigerian accent, as long as you don't sound like you're American, you're going to be discriminated against to an extent. There is no escaping it, bro. There is no escaping it. Now, in front of the Europeans and the other races around the world, we're all grouped together. We're like, oh, you guys are all black. We're going to treat you guys like shit, which is absolutely wrong, right? But within our communities, we discriminate against each other. The reason why most Nigerians get to America and they start talking down on Black Americans, I'll tell you what, it's inferiority complex. Because you already see these people like, oh my God, these people are better than me. Let me talk down on them because I have a bachelor's degree and they only have a high school certificate. Which to me is really dumb because it makes you look like a fool trying to talk to someone that his ancestors have been lynched, raped, beheaded, destroyed for that country to be what it is. If they hadn't gone through what they went through, we wouldn't have a chance in these countries today. I absolutely agree. I salute African Americans, Afro-Canadians. I salute my fellow Africans that have been here way before me because they opened the door for me. But now that I find myself in the world in 2019, I am going to take advantage of whatever situation I can. So I find myself in Canada. I become a Canadian citizen. I still have my Nigerian citizenship. I'm never going to renounce that. So I have two citizenships. So my advice to you, my brother, Oshay, when you go to Nigeria, I'll tell you what, bro, it's actually not, this is a live show. I shouldn't be saying this. I hope we don't get flagged for this. But it's not that difficult to get a Nigerian citizenship, bro. It's actually not that difficult. All you need to do is change your name.
Listen, I should have mine by the time I come back. You guys focus.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just say this. And I think what we're seeing in this stream, and everybody wants to get the advantages that are offered to them. The brother said that in Canada, he feels that he should get all of the access to rights that other people have. Now, that's very important for any of you who are hashtag ADOS. When you hear what he has to say, he believes he should get all rights that anybody else has, irrespective of if his people did anything in that country or not. Okay? Now, he's saying that he's okay with accepting the law in Canada as it is. Okay? But look at this. The law is different in Nigeria. He has a problem respecting the law in Nigeria as it relates to the diaspora. Now, we have to be accountable for understanding what we know before we make the decisions. And at the time that he left Nigeria, I'm pretty sure he was aware, hey, if I leave Nigeria and go someplace else, I'm going to lose the ability to vote. This is evident because it's in the law. But that was not important for him at that time. He did it consciously. For whatever reason, Canada has a better opportunity. There are other things, all of this, we understand that. But he does this knowingly. He goes to Canada, he accepts the laws of their land. But he has a problem accepting the law of the land and where he's from. And see, this is the issue. This is, I want to say, what do you call, I don't know if you want to call it being spoiled or whatever that is. But the case is this. People understand the vitality of their actions when they take them. And all places are different. Canada operates different than Nigeria. Nigeria operates different than Senegal. The African Union is not united. Okay? So the thing is, when you start hearing, oh, well, things are different in Canada than they are in Senegal, I'm not dealing with that. Deal with the fact that the law in your country. Is this what it is? And if you cannot respect the sovereignty of the laws in your country, then it is what it is. And this is the problem that a lot of people have. In Poland, there are things that I'm living in Poland right now. I came to medical school here. I'll be done pretty soon. But the laws in Poland are different than the United States. I have to respect the laws of there are things I can do in Poland I can't do in the United States. I knew that when I came here. But these guys, they want to get it as it benefits them. Okay? And this is the problem. And this is the problem that a lot of immigrants have when they come to the West. They want things, they want all that they can get. Now, meanwhile, he's saying, go get a Nigerian citizenship. It's not that hard. Well, if that's the case, then why don't African Americans have citizenships in all the other places? I mean, think about it. Most of us come from Nigeria. We come from Ghana or anywhere in the West. The fact is, unless you go to Nigeria 45 times like Dynas does, you're not getting Nigerian citizenship. Okay, that's just the facts. If you don't know anybody, you know anybody high up, you're not doing that. Okay, so the thing is, really, is you two are in the elite in the fact that you have a Canadian citizenship you're getting it, and you have the Nigerian citizenship. Hey, listen, the problem is this. If you can accept Canadian laws of the land, accept yours too. But see, the thing about it is, it doesn't benefit them as they want it because it's greed. And that's what we're dealing with. And that is the mentality of many immigrants, respective of them being from Nigeria, respective of them being from anywhere else. That's how they think. They want everything they can get, and then they cry about things that they can't get, but they know the issues of the law when they leave. This is the law. You know this. You know it before you make the decision. But then you complain about it. Everybody has a choice. They've made theirs. And as African Americans, I really feel, and not to call it a discontention, this is the reason why I believe that African Americans must be really careful about uniting with other blacks in America. This is the reason why. This is the reason why African Americans should really separate themselves from other groups, because this is what happens. You heard what the brother said. I deserve everything that anybody else gets. And at the same time, he says, well, you can get citizenship in Nigeria, Africa. No, you can't. You can only do it if you have 50,000 subscribers, you know, somebody like Dynas. For the most of y'all, you will never get it. And the more that you allow people into your group, and the more you allow people into your communities, what they will do is they will keep their citizenship, they will advocate for what they can do, and then they go. That's it. While you were left wet and dry. That's all it. I'm just saying, you can disagree, but that's all I got to say about that.
Brother, have you visited Africa before? Any African country? Sub-Saharan Africa?
Just not really. Maybe I should go to Africa. That's my problem, right?
I think, you know what I think? You should.
I've never been to Africa, huh?
You really need to visit first. Then I promise you, bro.
Before I make a decision. But I need
no, that's not what I'm saying. No.
I've been to 4 African countries, bro. I'm just trolling you. I've been to 4 African countries. I was in South Africa 3 weeks ago.
Oh, perfect.
I may have been to more than you.
Oh, me, I've only been to Nigeria and Ethiopia. Those are the countries I've been to in Africa.
Okay. So yeah.
But I'll tell you what. When it comes to Nigeria, that I know about, it's not difficult. I know what I'm telling you, bro. I promise you, I cross my heart. It's not difficult to get a citizenship. All you need to do is get a different name. If you have a different name, if you have a Nigerian name, no, that's the fact, bro. If you have another name,
he doesn't really need to change the name. He can still use the same name.
You probably don't even need to change the name. The only problem is if you have the same English name, you have a Western name, they're going to be asking you many questions. But other than that, it's straightforward. Our country is so porous. You don't understand that we don't even have a structure. We don't have the structure that America has, that Canada has. For us to get a citizenship in these countries, it's hard work. It's not easy for us to get a citizenship. It's actually difficult. That's why you find people doing crazy things to get citizenships in these countries. But in the other side, in Nigeria, it's easy. It's easier to get a Nigerian citizenship than it is to get a Ghanaian citizenship. I can tell you that for sure. I have a lot of Nigerians that go to Ghana, get a Ghanaian citizenship. They have 2 citizenships. With the Ghanaian citizenship, with a Ghanaian passport, it's easier for you to travel to a country like America. Then they travel to America. So check it out. They live in America, then they get an American citizenship after 10 years. Then they relinquish one. So people go through, I understand, trust me, bro. I understand African Americans have gone through hell living in that country. And I understand you guys are mad at us. It's fine, no problem. But I really implore you, try to visit Africa and try to get a citizenship in a country that you can. Once you have that platform of 2 citizenships, I promise you, brother, you're gonna have a different perspective. You're gonna realize that you try to separate yourself as adults from Africans, from Caribbeans, at the end of the day, it's the same divide and conquer tactics that's gonna work. We Nigerians, we have that problem already. We separate ourselves along tribal lines. Now, on the international scale, there is now adults, there are Africans. Under Africa, there are 54 countries. In those 54 countries, there are separate tribes and communities. There is so many division. Other groups of people don't really do these things. And that's why it's hard for us to progress as a group. I'm telling you, African people in America, that's Black Americans, not even all Black Americans believe they're Africans, by the way. Some think they're Israelites, some think they're Moors, some think they're whatever that is. Black people living in America, they're not progressing because we're all divided. We have this mentality of crabs in the bucket. When someone is going forward, everybody tries to drag him down. Like I can see in the comment section, there's so many people already trolling us like, oh, these guys are dumb, they are retarded, they have no excuse, they are coons, they are Africans, they are sellouts.
You gotta blame me. Dinosaurs are tough crap.
No problem.
You
no
guys
problem. It's not a problem.
Out on here.
But that's what we do, right? We always try to drag each other down for whatever reason. And that has played into our constant regression as a group of people around the world. There is no country in the entire world that you go to that is dominated by Black people that is actually doing good. Even in America, the Black communities are not doing good. So it's a problem that we actually need to address. And I feel like the best way we can address this thing is to unify. First of all those imaginary countries that we have in Africa, if we can get rid of those countries and all have one citizenship, it's going to be to our benefit. Now, I'm not going to go too deep. If we can all have one citizenship as Africans, it's going to be a benefit to us continental Africans. It's going to be a benefit to African Americans, adults, the Caribbean people, the Brazilians, the Black Brazilians. It's going to be a benefit to everybody. So the best thing we can do is just stop all this division. It doesn't make any sense. It's not taking us anywhere. I can tell you for a fact, bro, where I'm from, in Ogun State in Nigeria, literally communities that are 30 minutes apart, they don't like each other. And guess what? We are constantly being relegated. We are the bottom of the barrel. We need to face the reality. None of this division tactics has ever worked for us. But no matter how much stuff I say, I'm never going to change the mind of 1 billion people, because we're like 1 billion of us in this world, we black people. Out of the billion black people, I can guarantee that hundreds of millions are never, ever gonna agree with me. So I'm not even here to change anybody's mind. Hold on to your beliefs. I know what is right. I'm just gonna treat everybody that I meet, regardless your race, color, gender. I'm gonna treat everybody with respect. I'm gonna teach my kids to treat everybody with respect. And I'm just gonna treat this world in a positive way. I'm gonna grab what I can grab. And I would advise people that are close to me, like I'm telling you now, brother, if you go to Nigeria, bro, you are going to get a citizenship. You don't have to go there 45 times. I swear down. All you have to do, go to Nigeria. As a matter of fact, you can go to Nigeria, meet the right people, and you're going to get a citizenship, bro.
Wow, I think.
And let me put this on record. I'm getting my citizenship the legal way.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
It's all legal.
Yeah.
Somebody watch.
Somebody Joel off rice.
Buhari, if you see this, you're getting my citizenship the legal way, Buhari. I'm getting mine the legal way. Okay, all right, go ahead, brother.
Well, I think a lot has been said here. I truly respect Adewale's what he has said and what he has just told all of us here. I think we as a black people, we need to be united. We need to unite. You know, black people, we've suffered a lot. You know, like you guys that are in America there, you can see categorically America still call you an African. Like I said, when you get a passport, it's stated in your passport, African American. We keep seeing how African American are being treated in America differently from every other American. So you guys are even like a second class in America, where you claim to be a country you work hard for, which is true. We are not happy in Africa. We are not happy that some of you got separated from us thousands of years ago, 100 years ago. We're not happy. Even those of us that are still in Africa. I'm born in fine Nigeria. I was born 40 years ago in Nigeria. I came here 18 years. I've been in Canada. So we have inferiority complex between we even other tribes in Nigeria. In Nigeria right now, do you know an Igbo man could not go to the north to buy a land or build a house? He's going to be renting. Or another man will go to an Igbo land or Yoruba land to go buy a land. Who's going to sell you the land? So we have problem within the black race. But when the black man leaves his African country, he comes to a Western country, Canada, US, Germany, Australia, you have the same privilege every other people have there. You can buy a house. You can buy a land if you can afford it. So we as a black people, we've been so divided that they put so much confusion in us. I can tell from this brother, you're a little bit upset. You know, please don't be upset. We understand the pain you guys went through. We understand. You're talking with pains. We understand. But again, I wasn't born in that generation. Our new generation right now, we are trying to come together with all y'all because we believe we are one. We've been discriminated even up to 21st century. When they see me as a black man, okay, they don't care to know if I'm born in Africa or in America. The way they will treat you as a black man is the same way they will treat you an American black man, except when you bring out the American passport, that will have a little leniency on you because you're an American. But otherwise, they look at us black people generally. Okay, look at American that we're talking about. When the police goes to arrest or goes to a place, they say identity theft, or you look like a suspect. And when you're a black man on the scene, you're going to be the first that everybody's going to point finger to that you're the black man we're talking about. It doesn't matter whether you're Nigerian or you're born an African American, like you guys. Until when you prove innocent, that you're not the person, they will, oh, it's a mistake. We thought it was you because a black man was identified and the same person came as your description. So we as a black people, we need to love ourselves. We need to have one understanding. We need to come together and have peace because we are being separated. We also hate ourselves. That's the problem. That's why we're never united in any way, shape, or form at all. So we're not progressing. When a black man is progressing, another black man is behind talking about him to pull him down. But these white people, they don't do that. Look at the Chinese, look at the Indians. They do a whole lot of crime, a whole lot of things. They're not being caught. But when a black man have $10,000, he wants to show, buy the biggest car, Escalade with bling bling. And then you see another black man.
What kind of car? What kind of car?
Escalade, With the rings on it.
Everyone.
You know what I mean? We like to show off. And then you see another black man calling another black man nigger. And then when a white man call you nigger, you're upset. But why are you calling your brother nigger? A nigger is the name of a slave. I don't call a black man nigger. Sometimes I go to the club, I see some of those little boys. I'm 40 years. Those boys are 20, 25. They say, what's up, nigga? I'm like, I'm not a nigger. I'm a born African, bonafide. If you know the meaning of nigger, you shouldn't call a black brother nigger. When you're calling yourself nigger, and then when a white person call you nigger, you're upset. So maybe we should stop that within our community. Stop calling ourselves slaves. So that mentality is what is affecting some of us, our brothers back in the United States. So let's love ourselves. When a Nigerian black and Nigerian bonafide come to the United States, he comes there because of a greater opportunity, because of freedom of life. I mean, look at the United States. A doctor in the United States, a Nigerian-born doctor in the United States, he came there. We have our African-born African Americans that are in the United States. But this doctor is one of the greatest doctors in the United States. He took out a baby from the mother's womb and did a surgery to the baby and have the baby sew back in the mother's womb. And on the due date, the mother gave birth to the baby. That man is a Nigerian, a doctor. So we come for a better life because our country did not give us the platform to build up our talent or to contribute, except for few people that have the access to the whole Nigerian resources. Every other Nigerian people that are just minors. We are in the minors, except but few. So that is why we are traveling for greener pasture, for a better life. So when we come here and Canada, US, UK, Australia are giving us the same opportunity, I'm not going to say no because I'm a Nigerian. No, I don't. I went to school here. I got student loan. In Nigeria, you never have student loan. Your family has to pay for it or you stay at home. So should I say, oh, because I was born in Nigeria, we don't have student loan. Don't, please, Canada, don't give me student loan. I took advantage of it. That is why we came here, for a better life. We're not here to compete. We're here to contribute to and also be part of the society. I hope that makes sense.
Let me say this. I kind of noticed the ad hominem, like, oh, brother, you sound like you have pain or you sound like you're upset. I think that's a way for you to detract from the overall message that I'm saying, and you can't address those arguments. I understand that's fine. So let's just kind of make you feel emotional. Try to make me feel emotional for what I'm saying. So let me say it calmer. That way you can't say that, because I'm gonna make you face these points that I'm making, both of you, on this go round. The first thing is this. I always hear, and when you see African immigrants, when they come to the United States, or Black Caribbean immigrants, the first thing that they say is, oh man, we ought to unite. If a black man is arrested by the police officer, he's going to look at you just like he looked at us. You always hear this, okay? But one indication of future performance is what? Past performance. Yeah, that means if I want to gauge somebody's potential in the future, I should look at their past. African immigrants have been coming to the West since the 60s on forward. Now, African Americans will tell you, and people in the West, there's never been any unity amongst those people and us since they've been in the country. What it has been is, African Americans giving Africans opportunities, whether that's been in schools or helping them out and stuff like that. And that has never been returned, ever. Not till now, not ever. Okay? All of this about you need to unite. Here's the problems that I've been hearing. Nigeria is corrupt. Nigeria has these issues. So the Nigerians, when they leave in Nigeria, they come from a country where their own people cannot unite. Their own tribes cannot unite. Now, I know there are over 20-something states in Nigeria. I've never been, but I know, I'm not a dumb Negro. There are states that are Igbo ran, Abia, Anambra, states that tribes run that you can't unite, of the same people. We're not even talking about going from this part of Nigeria, from, let's say, Igbo land to Kaduna or something like that, or to the north. We're not dealing with that. We're talking about in your own states of tribes that you can't get things accomplished. So that means in those states where people of the same ethnicity cannot provide opportunities for each other, then those people who have that same self-hatred before they come to America, who are already disgruntled with the people of their own tribes, you then tell African Americans or blacks there, we should unite. But who does the unification benefit? Because you cannot unite with a group of people who don't have that in their culture. And I'm sorry,
Yeah, it's true though. It's true. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Let me finish. Africans do a very poor job of uniting anything among themselves. So African Americans cannot work with people like this. Now, the one advantage that African Americans have is that we are one big tribe. Now, we might all be, some of us may be Baptist, some may be Church of God in Christ, some of us may be whatever, but we all have the same cultural experience, and we have that unification of ideas from that. Now, we have our problems here and there. Yeah, black on black crime is high. We understand that. And then now you have to also understand that a lot of black on black crime ain't all black. You got Haitians in there, you got Caribbeans in there, you got all kind of other people in there. The thing is this: the only unification that happens amongst African Americans and blacks, it doesn't never benefit African Americans. There is nothing that Africa has ever done to provide any opportunities for African Americans, be it those Africans such as yourself in the West, when they come and they get on, they never do shit for us here. And they damn sure ain't doing nothing for Africa. So my question is to you. One, where is the history of Africa ever providing any opportunities for blacks? That means when the Naira was higher than the dollar in the 70s, that means when certain African countries have more higher currencies than the US dollar. There's evidence of that. The thing is this: it's all to benefit the African immigrant. When you use these tactics, we all are the same. You know that me and you, we might look the same, but we are not the same. We have different ways of speaking. We have different ways of doing things. We have different ways of looking at the world. We're not the same. As much as you want to say we have the same phenotype, but me and you ain't the same. Okay? We're not. We look the same. We're both black. But the way that I know that we're not the same is when you come to America or come to the West, there's no really hanging out of African groups and African American groups. There's separation. So we have to understand that this non-unity thing is going to exist. And if there's somebody who's going to be a unifying force, the person who's doing the unifying, they pay for everything. How much more longer do African Americans or do blacks in the West, for the most part, what do we get out of unifying with Africa? Our Africans, you get nothing from it. Zero. We know this. And the thing about it is that it's all a shaming tactic. Let's keep accessing your stuff. Okay. Let's keep getting stuff from you guys or whatever. That argument can't work. Okay. Because our experience dealing with other immigrant groups, not just Africans, Hispanics, or whoever else, it doesn't happen. So that's to me, that's bullshit. So again, I'm gonna leave, but I want to say this. One thing that I hate is for someone to play up my intelligence, and I don't think that you think that I'm a dummy. I'm very articulate, and my neurons fire very fast. I'm dealing with certain concepts and arguments, and you cannot deal with that. The other brother on the panel can't deal with it. So you want to make it look, let's belittle it by saying you're emotional or whatever. No, deal with those things. The facts are what they are. If you cannot unite your own people, you cannot work with anybody else. Those are the facts. Peace.
All right, Oshay. Thank you, brother. Thank you for joining us. And what we'll do, we'll go ahead and close out. Adewale, we'll go ahead and start with you. And also shout out your platform and how people can get in contact with you and all that good stuff.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me on the show once again today. Like, I'm glad we had this discussion. And like I said earlier, there is no changing of everybody's mind in the world. We all have our independent minds. So with that being said, I will treat everybody I'll treat everybody equally. If you see yourself as you can relate to me as a brother, as a friend, I'll treat you the same, no problem, regardless where you're from. At the end of the day, we all have this affinity towards people that look like us. So if I find myself in the United States and I see a Black American versus a white American, I would rather relate with the Black American first before I relate to the white American, because that's human nature, right? But if the Black American doesn't want to talk to me because I have an African accent, no problem. I'm good either way, you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, thank you for having me on your show. Salute to you, Brother Julius. Thank you so much. I seen your video where you talked about your boxing past, and yeah, I'm looking forward to discussing more boxing stuff with you.
No worries.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the chat room. Thank you to the detractors as well.
Adewale, what's your YouTube again? So shout it out so people can.
My YouTube channel is Adewale M. Yeah, Adewale space M. Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, Julius, go ahead, brother. Go ahead and close out.
Thanks for having us here. I think this starting the group is really, it's a very important stream that I've ever participated in it. Like I said before to that brother, I think we're all citizens of the world, and we as a Black people, we've been denied, we've been isolated. So why are we still isolating ourselves? Like, I have a lot of American friends. When I go to the United States, because I was a professional boxer. I just retired about 8 years ago. I'm 40 now, so I can do nothing. But when I was performing, I fought a lot of brothers in the United States, African-American brothers and white and whatever. After fight, as a sportsman, you have a good sportsmanship attitude. After fight, either win or lose, you have to appreciate your opponent. So I have few African-American brothers there that we are friends. I still have the number, we chat. So from that brother, maybe he had a little bit of experience with some brothers from Africa, the way they might have treated him. Maybe, because like I said, you can tell that he's upset, but he didn't want to say it out. I feel sorry. Like I said, we are one, irrespective of what he said, that he think we're different people. It's just a skin that connect us together. It's a lie. The world does not know about that. You tell a white man about that, he tells you are one. Like I said, I'm going to say it again. Categorically, it's stated in your passport, African American, to let you know your trace, that you're an African, irrespective that you find yourself privileged to be born an American or born Canadian. So I think we should come together. Again, he said really good things, though. There's a president, and Zimbabwe ex-president Mugabe, he said African leaders have no idea to manage Africa. They're all fighting for freedom. Now we got freedom. What have they done? What have African produced? Nothing. We have no good state of mind to produce something. Nothing. There's that division within Africa, within our people. Like I said, a Fulani man cannot leave a Fulani land and go to Lagos or Igbo land to say he wants to buy a land. They're not going to sell him a land. But when we come here, when the Fulani man come to Canada, US, Australia, he will be entitled to get everything the citizen of that country has. But whereas in our country, we cannot get what you have. You know what I mean? Just like right now, if you're born in Alberta, you're a resident in Alberta, you become Alberta citizen, irrespective of your family come from Toronto. But in Nigeria, if your family come from Edo State and you're born in Kano State, you're not going to be Kano citizen. You'll be Edo State citizen. So that division is there. They put a lot of confusion in the middle of Black people. That's why we're confused. Black people, we are confused. We are the most confused people on earth. Look at the Chinese. When a Chinese man got a job, he's going to bring his fellow Chinese man there. When an Indian man got a job, he will bring Hindu, all of them. When a Filipino get a job, 20 Filipinos will be there. But when a Black man get a job, say, bro, I'm looking for a job. Where you? They say, no, they're not hiring. I know that. Just because he doesn't want you there to challenge him. When a fellow Black man sees another Black man, he feels that challenging competition. Like he's here to challenge me. No, we're not here to challenge you. We just came for a better life. But anyway, I'm glad this opportunity came up. If you all want to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me through my YouTube name. It's called Afemai TV channel. AFEMAI TV channel. I was an ex-professional boxer. My name is Julius Izobo. I represented Canada at the national and stuff like that. So now I'm just doing fitness training. So if you want to contact me, please leave me a message and I'll get back to you. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Once again, guys, thank you for joining. Make sure you guys go to Search for Uhuru on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook. Also hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Until next time, family, Dynasty Mirror, Search for Uhuru. Peace.
Peace. I love you, brother.
You too,
brother.
brother.
Thanks for having you. Okay.
No problem.
No problem.
We are all
so much,
no problem.
Bye, man. Okay, bro.